Hey guys, my name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. It's time I addressed the issue, isn't it? I've recorded like 4 videos in the last 2 days, and all of them have been awful because I've just been in such a pissy mood. And it's because of these guys. Well, actually, most of the things in life are because of these two guys. But yeah, Warhammer official. Warhammer. If you don't know, Warhammer has gone and decided to change their law again, which is something they uniquely have the right to do. However, knowing that the council has decided to make a decision, it's a dumbass decision, or whatever the quote is. Yeah, so the female custodies thing. So custodians have existed for approximately the same amount of time I have. I believe they were first mentioned in 1987. And from 1987 through to April 2024, custodians have always been referred to as men. They have always been the sons of Terran nobles, with quotes such as, "They would sacrifice entire generations of sons to the custodes." Until they decided that now actually that we need female custodes. They've always been here since day one. And the first named one we get is the bestest ever, who wins the Blood Games and nearly kills the Emperor. Congratulations. So, I have a problem with this. And I've got several problems with this, and I'm going to go through them. My first problem is that I do not like radical changes to the law that don't make sense. Yeah, I don't just like it. It's always been there. You just never noticed. That's gaslighting. And it's bad writing. I don't like the idea of women in the Custodes. I don't like the idea of women in the Space Marines. I wasn't a huge fan of like women in the Imperial Guard. Spoiler alert: I actually don't believe women belong in combat roles in real life either. I think they're far too valuable, to us as a people to put in the way of harm. The whole reason men exist is so that we are the ones who are put in the way of harm, and women don't have to. And I know that is a horrendously sexist point of view to take, apparently, that I don't think women should have to face the brutalities of war. And I will stand on that hill, I will die on that hill, because that's what we do as men. So I have that problem. I don't think they belong setting-wise in that group. The Talons of the Emperor had female representation, if that's your issue. They have the Sisters of Silence. The Sisters of Silence are an incredibly powerful organisation. They are also one of the organisations who are responsible for the entire existence of the Imperium. I.e., if they did not exist, the Imperium would collapse within days, if not hours. For those of you who don't know, the Sisters of Silence are a group of mute, i.e. they don't speak, hence the name, women, who are also psychic blanks. This means they have no presence in the warp, which means they cannot be affected by psychic powers, and by happenstance also means they shut off Psykers' ability to use their powers. Again, for those tourists who don't know, Psykers are like space wizards. So imagine if Gandalf the Grey had come out and basically gone, "Oh, I don't work anymore," because some girl who doesn't say much is stood too close to him. Why would the removal of the Sisters of Silence mean the complete and utter destruction of the Imperium, humanity, and the universe as we know it? Well, the Emperor needs to eat or consume 1,000 Psykers a day so that he doesn't die and the Astronomicon remains on. If he doesn't, no starships can travel, and if he dies, the entire planet is just absorbed by demons. The Sisters of Silence are the ones responsible for collecting and transporting those psychers. A byproduct of that process is they're the ones that also then funnel psychers into other organisations like the Imperial Guard, the Adeptus Astartes, and the Inquisition. Again, pretty big deal. There is another female faction, the Sisters of Battle, an entire army of unshakable faith. No matter what some weirdo on Twitter will draw for you, you do not get Chaos Sisters of Battle. Their faith is unbreakable. And they are completely unaugmented. They do not have any extra organs, extra bones. They're not genetically modified. It is through sheer fucking willpower that as a fighting force, they can go toe-to-toe with Space Marines, to a point that they are often used to police Space Marines. Let that sink in. They have no special abilities other than willpower. And they are as good as Space Marines in many aspects. We have another female faction in the game, one of the most popular factions in their game, which is House Escher in Necromunda. Escher is the all-female house where women are the strongest and their men are weak, pitiful and useless. They're Amazonian queens of the Underhive. They specialise in poison and lasgun fighting in the dark. They love it. They look fantastic. Their models are huge. They're as tall as a Space Marine. Hell, you have one other entirely all-female faction, and that's the Tyranids. Which, this is a complete aside. Every girl I've come across in real life who actually plays Warhammer, not a single one of them has ever collected Space Marines or Custodes. To a woman, they have collected Tyranids, Orcs, and Dark Eldar. Nothing else. If you look online, you'll see it as well. Those are the three most popular factions for girls, for some reason. Now, I don't have a problem with women being introduced in as Custodes into this storyline. I would be okay with it. If it was introduced in some way, like, I don't know, Trajan Valoris coming along and going, hey, we're going to recruit this girl, and everyone goes, yeah, what? And he goes, no, Vision of the Emperor, or whatever it is that, they have their recruitment process, and they will watch over and guard and protect people from the lowest levels of society to ensure that they complete their destiny. He brings a young girl in and says she is going to be a custode. And there's some sort of schism, there's some sort of argument. Some of the Ordos refuse. And they say, no, the dark cells are no place for a woman to be. Whatever. And then he still does it anyway, and she proves her worth. That's it. That's how you do it. You do it well. You do it in this setting. You don't just go, yeah, we're always here. Yeah, you just didn't notice. But my biggest issue here is that now canon is worthless. And canon is important. Because canon is what took Star Wars from being just some films with some lunchboxes and some toys to being one of the largest media franchises ever. Because you don't have a film like Star Wars where you milk toys out of every single person on screen without there being a reason. How do we know Yak Face's name is Yak Face? Because his toy says so. It's expanded universe. He's never mentioned in the film. He's on film for literally a split second. But then, because we have a name, we have imagination, we have a story, and then he gets mentioned in a book, Crix Maydeen gets mentioned. Admiral Akbar and his backstory gets expanded on. And suddenly there's more opportunity for more toys, more tie-in books, more films, more animations. But if it's not worth it, if it's changing, if none of it makes sense, if I pick up this toy and go, oh, this is Crix Maydeen, he's an Imperial intelligence officer and he bravely defected to the rebellion, and someone goes, no, it's not, his name's Steve, and actually he used to cut Admiral Akbar's hair, and I go, Akbar doesn't have hair, and he goes, oh, he does now. I'm going to lose interest. I'm not going to watch Star Wars anymore. I don't watch Star Wars anymore for this exact reason, actually. Why would I collect a 60-book series of the Horus Heresy if something that happens in one book has no relation to the next book? If I bought Game of Thrones and I read through that first book and I'm like, man, I really want to know what happens to, Jon Snow and Ed Stark and all these other characters, and then by book 3, Ned Stark's back alive for some reason with no explanation, and he has an F-16 and his sidekick's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, don't get me wrong, that could be quite an interesting story, but it also really probably wouldn't be. It's the things that happen to the characters that make the stories interesting. So the next thing's really bugging me is the community. Because there's a lot of people out there who are being toxic. And it's not the people who have an issue with this. It's the people who support this. It's the people throwing out terms like chud and incel, and who are quite clearly reveling in the joy of ruining. And yeah, it is ruining. I'm sorry, that's what you're aiming to do. That is the word you people are using. They are enjoying the fact that they are causing discomfort to another group of people. They have decided that they want this space. They want to change things to fit their views. And, they don't collect Warhammer. You go look at their profiles, there's nothing about Warhammer on there. There's no pictures about their models. They've been members of groups like Heavier Metal for like 10 minutes, and they're there just because they're here to change things. Now, there's an awful lot of shit like commie flags, Palestinian flags, and, rainbow flags in their bios. That they have a lot of and has arrived for a long time, but pictures of Space Marines, pictures of Custodes, no, there's none of those. And I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with people being called things like incel. And that in itself is a huge topic. Because it's very sad. Because this is a hobby that actually was always an escape for a lot of people with social issues. People who, they do fit the term incel quite clearly. But they were happy here. And you know what? It's Warhammer. Who cares who someone's sleeping with? I don't want to know anything about it. I'm here to paint Warhammer models. I'm here to play with Space Marines. I'm not here to think about someone's sex life. So the focus on calling these people incels says more about those weirdos who seem to think this is a good idea. And that, again, here's another one. The only people who support changes like this are the people who like to make their smut fan art. Okay? Just go away. We don't want people like that around here anymore. Okay? Just get lost. Go and make filth somewhere else. Go and just draw your own thing. Go back to DeviantArt. That's where that stuff belongs. We don't need it to be canon for your fetish stuff. Go away. And my last gripe with this is these people, Warhammer Official, who are going out their way using the single canned answer. They're using a bot to make replies. They're blocking people left, right and centre. Anyone who mentions this, instant bans. And this is all because of the 3 top shareholders at Games Workshop, which are all ESG investment firms, which means they'll pay Games Workshop more money for this sort of stuff. That's the only reason it's happening. So I want to ask Games Workshop, okay, for your ESG scores and all that, when will we see some more inclusive Escher? When will I see male Escher models? I'd quite like them. I'd like to be able to field an all-male Escher gang. That would be diverse compared to normal Escher. I'd also like to see some obese Delac models, please. I'd like to see some Van Saar models who are disabled. I believe that would be very inclusive. In 40k, I would also like to see some male Sisters of Battle, because, as we've established, canon means nothing now. So that single piece that says that the Sisters of Battle exist because no man may carry a weapon who works for the church, that can go away now. There's always been, Frateris militia, Misters of Battle, as some people call them. You just never notice them because they like to cut their hair the same. Sisters of Silence. Well, I'd quite like some male Sisters of Silence because men can be blanks as well. We know that through Commissar Kane, who has a blank assistant who smells, and people don't like to be near him because he's a blank. In fact, why can't an orc be a Space Marine? It's never officially explicitly stated that an orc can't be a Space Marine. It's explicitly stated that women can't be Space Marines, or only men can be Space Marines, and an orc shares more phenotype types with a man than it does a woman. So why can't an orc be a Space Marine? Can I have an orc member of the Ultramarines? If not, why not? This could be quite an important moment in the history of Games Workshop as a whole. It really could, which you never notice when you're actually in the moment, and it's weird to think about it in the moment. But you have a very, very expensive hobby. You have a very passionate fan base. You have a very toxic element to the fan base. And you have never been in a situation where it is easier for the fans themselves to make their own models. So, piss off and do it yourself is the easiest option here. A 3D printer costs a little bit more than an army box set from Games Workshop when they release their models. So yeah, for maybe 2 codexes worth of releases, you can have the printer, the resin, the wash and cure station, and a load of models. And you'll print more models than Games Workshop can release on your schedule. You'll print what you want, how you want, when you want. You want to do a 6-inch tall Space Marine in Mark IV armour? Cool, go for it. Maybe you want your Cataphractii Terminators to be in scale with the new Leviathan scale Terminators. You can do that. Maybe you want a left-handed power fist, but you've only got right-handed power fists. Well, you click one button, now you've flipped it round. Or you need you need 20 bolt pistols because you want to do some destroyers. Well, you might as well throw on the 10 jump packs at the same time as well. Plus, all the grenades and everything else they need. It will be a 2-hour print. Yes, for many of you, you will be able to print models faster than you can go to your local Games Workshop. For some of you. The resin's getting easier and easier to use. The printers are getting faster, more accurate, more safety features, easier to use. There's more and more pre-supported models out there. So tell me, with your investors who will demand growth every single year and will not accept taking a smaller dividend cut if said growth does not happen, is it really smart to do things that piss off your community? Because to me, as someone who's only run a tuck shop as a business, where I learnt very quickly to stock the things people wanted, not the things they didn't want, it seems to me like a really, really dumb idea. What do you guys think? Ultimately, it's you who's important. Not them. Not the company. It's you. The community. Because they can keep pumping money into this. But their money only lasts as long as you keep giving it to them. And there's more of us. So let's see. If you didn't realise, I have a Twitter account. It's at breakfast_bando. I don't use it very often, but please feel free to follow me and send messages my way and tag me in things. I also happen to have a newly set up Facebook page called Breakfast with Bando, which has no one following it yet, obviously. So if you are a boomer like me and still use Facebook, feel free to come give me a follow. For the same reasons. Share your stuff. Post up. Say hello. So Games Workshop, as the banner says, do better. My name is Bando. This is Breakfast with Bando. If you want to support the channel, you can use the Element Games code down below to get double reward points, if you want to. And remember, Element Games stocks far more than just Games Workshop models. Why not try Battletech? Why not check out some historicals, or maybe even some alternatives like Drop Zone Commander. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.